can I articulate why I'm willing to plug my nose for the deep state? That way, instead of them like attacking me for it, I can articulate the vision for it.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. So basically, like, I agree that there is effectively a uniparty. Okay, I agree with that. I think that the Republicans, they talk a good game about family, conservative values, riding horses, smoking Marlboro Reds, all that kind of shit. But at the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're going to cut taxes. That's all they're going to fucking do, right? They're going to leave the border unsecured. They're going to get involved in interventionist wars, okay? They're not going to do shit besides that, right? Then when it comes to Democrats, they talk about, the blacks and the gays and the transes and the non-binary transes and how they're all oppressed by the white man and all that kind of shit. But what are they going to do at the end of the day? They're going to increase taxes a little bit. They're going to push some really shitty social issue legislation that we all fucking cringe at. That's what they're going to fucking do. That's what those people do. But the truth is that 95% of what the United States is it's a $65 trillion global commercial empire that is based off of the American military that makes sure that oil and goods flows across the entire world with our enemies and with our allies, but most importantly, to the advantage of our allies, right? That's what it is. And so when it comes to who is in charge, because it's not a speedboat, it's an oil tanker, there are people who are ready to say, this is an oil tanker. I'm going to drive it the way that it's supposed to be driven. And as a result, these are the institutionalists. When they shift the political left-right spectrum of the federal government, they do so at a 5% increment. People get pissed off at them because they don't implement enough broad sweeping changes, but realistically, the boat stays relatively stable. What Trump is a egomaniac who wants to be as important as Napoleon or Julius Caesar, and he wants to drive the United States of America like a fucking speedboat. And he tried last term. But the people who try to drive it like an oil tanker undermined his decision. I'm almost done. So, as a result, we are in a precarious position where we can either vote for the guy who is pissed off, who wants to drive this motherfucker like a speedboat again, or we can vote for another fucking oil tanker captain.
I am
understand. Voting for an oil tanker captain.
Confuses me, bro. Okay, in what way did Trump drive the country like a speedboat? Please help me understand that.
I would say his attempted withdrawal from Syria and his attempted withdrawal from Afghanistan were both attempts at driving it like a fucking speedboat.
Which Biden did.
I'm sorry, we didn't withdraw from Afghanistan until Joe Biden did it, and Joe Biden completely fucked it up. Really fucking hard, bro.
That's because Joe Biden ripped off the fucking Band-Aid because...
Hold on, Connor, for what it's worth, I think what you're doing is admirable, okay?
It's fucking disgusting, Connor.
Answering, here's Trump driving like a fucking speedboat. Democrats asked for $1,200 stimulus checks. Donald Trump asked for $2,000. Democrats passed zero gun control legislation during Obama's term. Donald Trump passed 2 different pieces of gun control executive action during his presidency. Donald Trump put his hands on the fucking speedboat and fucking whipped it and whipped it and whipped it because anything he fucking wanted to do, he did. He passed more gun control legislation through executive action than the 2 Democrats sandwiching him did through legislation. He is a fucking speedboat captain. That is irrefutable. That's what Republicans wanted him for. He was going to come in. He was going to.
It's a ridiculous claim and it's bombastic as it can be. It's no worse than Trump saying.
Heads of the FBI that didn't agree with him. He did whatever he wanted.
Jeb, you're being, but you're not.
Let EOD respond, Rob. Let EOD respond because he hasn't talked in a long time.
Why Donald Trump?
No, Connor was, and you decided to interject your opinion. Rob, go ahead.
A question to the
Thanks,
EOD.
I know,
because
I appreciate it. So I'll
EOD
talk about. I'll explain why Jeb's sort of talking out his ass here because Connor's point is there is a difference that Joe Biden's the tanker captain and Donald Trump's the speedboat, and yet, and Jeb seems that's what he's saying, and yet when asked earlier, which he admitted, given the choice between just the policies of a Trump administration or Biden administration, he would choose the Trump. So now he's saying he would intentionally choose the speedboat because Jeb's full of shit. And let me make my ultimate point here.
I don't care about him being a speedboat. I like that.
That's bullshit.
He cut out
a lot of Republicans like him because he's a speedboat captain.
With Rob telling me what my fucking point is, like a dipshit. Jesus Christ.
No, it's because you continually contradict yourself. You have no logical fucking consistency.
Hey, I promise I got you. You're next, brother. I promise.
Hold on. I'll tell you what the moderator won't. Every time I've spoken, EOD has cut me off because every time I've gotten
It's because you cut everybody else off every fucking chance you get, bro.
See how it goes? Really? I've sat here and let Connor and Rob have their fucking jerk off about how fucking jerk off about Connor's an evil deep state plant for fucking an hour and a half. Okay?
True.
I've let
An hour and a
everybody
half,
speak.
bro.
Every time I've gotten a full point out, EOD looks like a fucking retard. That's why he tries to interrupt me every 3 seconds in. And if it's
Get
not
with
the
the personal
truth, then
attacks.
don't do it. If it's not the truth, then don't do it. If it's not the truth, then don't do it. So here's why Rob's shit is bullshit. I don't have a problem with Trump being a speedboat. I have a problem with you guys trying to say he's not.
You're a liar. You're a liar. I can prove it.
Oh my fucking good lord. You spoke for 45 of the last 55 fucking minutes. Shut your mouth. Donald Trump being a speedboat was one of the things I liked about him, as long as he was holding to the platform he fucking pretended to have. He said, I'm going to take out 2 regulations for everyone. I'm pretty sure he averaged like 18 to 20, depending on the year he was president. That speedboat captainness was great. The issue is he has no fucking principles or values that actually drive his policy other than his own interests. So he will also be a speedboat captain for, again, passing more gun control than the evil fucking oil tanker president that would be so much worse than him, and passing more aggressive fucking stimulus legislation than the Democrats even asked for, and saying, I want to be the one that makes abortion a states' right decision again. Then when Arizona actually uses the states' rights he won for them by nominating justices, he fucking condemns them for it and says, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. He's a fucking piece of shit. He is a speedboat captain. If you like that he's a speedboat captain, say it. But don't try to argue that he's not a guy who's going to put his hands on the wheel and move it as fast as he fucking can. He fired 3 heads of the FBI because they didn't agree with him.
You said that
passed
already.
2 gun control legislations and did
I got you on
everything he
that. You said that
possibly could
already.
executively.
Okay, go ahead, EOD, if you want.
Yeah,
So when you say the speedboat captain, what you're saying is that he's accelerationist and he's extreme and he's pushing the country further to what, the right, the fascism, right? Let's just
literally.
throw that.
You're presuming
That's
some
fair.
shit. You're presuming some shit. It doesn't even have to be.
No.
in a specific
I'm
direction.
asking Jeb
It can
Cannon if I'm
be-
appropriately representing his position. Is what I'm
Yes.
asking.
Donald
Okay?
Trump
Yes.
is more willing to put his hands on the wheel and whip the country left and right than
Great.
any
So
other
you
president.
think being a speedboat captain is an accelerationist? Many of the examples that you give of being a quote unquote speedboat captain are actually him waffling and trying to fucking play politics. It's actually not an example of him being accelerationist in any way whatsoever. In fact, what it is him listening to the constituency and trying to interpret their will and trying to represent that to the best of his fucking ability, which is, oh shocker, what a politician probably ought to be fucking doing most of the fucking time. Okay, so at the end of the day, okay, it's rough sometimes to see these people fucking whiff waffle. I know that Nikki Haley has done it more times than I can fucking count, and I'm sure you've just gotten to the point where you can stomach that shit and just
Her
deal with it, bro.
legislative record
But it's
is
like for me,
better than
when I hear you making these
Why do you
erroneous
interrupt him,
analogies,
Jeff?
it's really kind of confusing and disingenuous and bad faith, in my opinion, of you to try to strongman this opinion with a lack of understanding of what it means that you were trying to say in the first fucking place, dude.
Okay,
Sure,
if you
so
don't mind,
let me-
I know you interrupted. I know you interrupted EOD there. So
Yeah,
let me.
because he
So let
did to
me.
me every
I'll
single
respond.
time
I'll
I
respond. I'll respond to all of you.
Nikki
One,
Haley's
I think it's.
legislative
I think
record
it's.
is more
Hold on.
ever been. Nikki
Okay.
Haley's legislative record is literally looks like fucking this. It is narrow and it is direct and it is straight. She has barely changed throughout her entire career as far as what she's actually passed and put forth. Donald Trump has literally put forth some of the most progressive policy we've seen passed in the past decade and some of the most conservative because that dude doesn't have a fucking platform or principle at all.